Well, another of the South African contingent here in Singapore is Theo Kieser. And Theo, you started out your career as a jockey.
Well, I started off as an apprentice jockey, and I was always that touch too heavy. And I rode for 2 years and managed to notch up to about 20 winners, I think it was. But it was always a battle because of the weight. I was riding 58 in my third year apprenticeship, and to get rides at that stage when you have so many good jockeys around you was tough. So eventually I just knew I was going the road to nowhere, so we'd have to change jobs, so to speak.
Well, after you hung the boots up there, you moved into a training career, and before you actually became a trainer in your own right, you spent a lot of time working with some of the leading trainers over in South Africa.
Yes, I did. I worked with some very good trainers, big trainers. I worked recently, ex-trainer that I worked for called Michael Leary, he just passed away. That was a bit sad. But he at that stage probably had about 90 horses in training when I worked for him. Good trainer. I worked for Vaughan Marshall, very good trainer. I worked for a few other trainers that have since given up on their licenses.
So working with those leading trainers, you must have seen a lot of very good horses come through the front door in that time.
Yeah, I did. There's always good horses that come and go. It's going back a long time now.
Is there one that sticks in your mind, a standout?
Well, probably when I was an apprentice, the best horse I ever actually got on and rode was a horse called Lightning Shot. And I think he won the Rothmans July 1978 or 79. And then when I was around at that stage, there was a lot of good horses.
2010, you were right here in Singapore. You moved into assistant training.
Well, at the time, you had to, because of the laws with the Singapore Turf Club, the only assistant trainers that were allowed were the local Singaporeans. So I had to come in as a track rider, and then we later got the rule change, and then I transferred to being an assistant trainer again.
And in that time, you worked with some of the trainers who've got a great history here, the likes of Michael Clements.
Yes, Michael Clements I started off with. He was actually very good to work for. You know, he showed me the ropes. You know because it's totally different, the racing here compared to South Africa, and yeah, and I seem to have adjusted quite well.
You then moved on to work with Laurie Laxon, and there seem to be a lot of current trainers who've cut their teeth, so to speak, with Laurie.
Well, Laurie he's a great trainer. You know, I've worked for him for 6.5 years before I started training. He's always done well. From the history books, it tells you when he's gone to Hong Kong, he's won big races there. Australia, he's won the Melbourne Cup. He's come here, and I remember his first year when he got here. I think he finished last. And what actually happened was he was sort of saving his horses for the following year so he could have winners. And he did well, and ever since then it's just snowballed for him.
You yourself, you're quite the complete horseman because you're also able to do a bit of farrier work and a bit of dentistry if required.
Yeah, the dentistry I learned a lot back in South Africa. I learned a lot about dentistry there. And obviously over the years you learn more. You watch other dentists operate and see how they operate. So you pick up bits and pieces, and it's a bit of the same with the shoeing, the farrier work. What I did was over the years, because I was assistant trainer for 23 years, so whenever I saw a good farrier, I would go and watch him, and then I'd pick up bits and pieces from different farriers, and sort of then moulded my own style.
Has that helped you in your own journey as far as being the complete horseman and knowing how to deal with your horses? It
does, because I can look at a foot and I can know exactly what's wrong with it because I know how the mechanics work. And it also helps when horses come back after gallop and they're lame, you know straight away whether it's the foot or not. So there's a big advantage with having that.
Over the last couple of years, you've certainly gained the reputation of being a very good trainer of juveniles and getting them up and running early.
There's quite a few methods that you can use. One thing with juveniles, as everyone knows, they go shin saw quickly. So you've got to know when to push and when to back off. They're very difficult to train, especially in a new environment. The only thing is, I feel a bit bad sometimes because you sort of tend to push them a bit more than they should. But that's the way it is here. The racing's here. So they're ready to race soon. So you got to get them ready. Yeah, there's definitely a different way to train 2-year-olds compared to the older horses.
I guess being a reasonably new trainer to Singapore too, you've sort of started from scratch and built your stable up, and it's had a necessity to go out and buy younger horses as well.
Well, that's exactly what's happened, and that's actually what happened this year too. This year I've had a very, very slow start because I've only got 38 stables, and I've got 17 2-year-olds that have come in the last 2.5 months. So I've got to get them ready so I can race them. Otherwise, I won't have many runners.
You've got a couple of exciting types in the stable at the moment in Yin Zin and Super Spirit. Tell us a little bit about those two.
Super Spirit is, I bought him in Perth. He was a lovely horse, nice, strong horse, and I knew he would suit Singapore. He weighs around about 470, 480 kilos, and that's probably the ideal weight for Singapore for sprinters anyway. You don't want horses that are too big, because if you do, then you've really got to be careful with them. And you don't want horses that are too small, so you want the middle of the range. Yin Zin, I got him as a trial winner from New Zealand, and when he got here, he was too heavy. He was 550 kilos. So and he didn't have the best of legs and hasn't got the best of legs. So I had to try and strip the weight off him, and had to do that slowly. A lot of walking, swimming, diet, and he's done well. He's done well.
Is that something you put a big emphasis on, a horse's weight? Because obviously it gets us like humans who are overweight. They struggle to perform at their best.
It definitely does play a difference. I've seen horses that have had knee problems and weighing 550 kilos and being put on a diet, and obviously change of program, like I said, an intense walking program, intense swimming program, lose 30 or 40 kilos, and then come out and win and not have so much trouble with the knees. I suppose it's like a human being. If you're too heavy, you can't really run, can you? So yes, I do believe that plays a very, very big part.
Away from the track, what does Theo Kieser like to do to relax?
Well, funny enough, I like to spend time with my family. I've got a very young family. I've got 2 daughters. One's 23 years old, and she's got a daughter of 1.5, so I'm a grandfather. And my wife, I've only been married once, and my wife is 20 years younger than me, and she wanted a kid. She said, "Oh, I'm young, I need a kid." So now we've got a little girl of 3 years old. So I love after finishing at the stables, I just love going home and spending time with her. And
with the likelihood of the South African embargo is about to be lifted, is that an exciting time, do you think, as far as the opportunity to get horses over here from South Africa?
Yes, I definitely think that's going to be a great sort of door opener for Singaporeans, because once Patrick Shaw goes over, and myself, because I've been asked by owners before to go over, so that'll start happening. And then the more horses that race in Singapore, the more popular they'll become. And I think it'll be a good big draw card for the South African breeding industry as far as getting Singaporean trainers to come over and owners.
Do you think that South African style of horse will be well suited over here?
I don't see why not. You know, there's been quite a few South African horses that have come here and done very well. And I know owners and trainers alike, they think quite highly of them, actually.
And finally, can you give us 1 or 2 from your stable that we can keep an eye out for in the coming months?
Well, I haven't got much racing at the moment, but my juvenile's also racing next month. I've lined up getting some ready for the first juvenile race. That's on the 8th of March, and some ready for the second juvenile race, which is on the 24th of March. I've got some very exciting young horses there, and I've probably at this stage, one of the ones that really stand out is a horse called Mexborough Boy. He had his official race trial and he won that, and he was a bit slow at the barrier, so I've got to do a bit more barrier work on him. But he'll be lining up for the first 2-year-old race.